I'm Bill Seymour. I'm a white guy. I've enjoyed privilege my whole life in ways that I probably don't even know about. But I'm learning about that. I'm not convinced that the road was laid out in front of me. All I had to do was walk it. I had to work hard to get where I am. I grew up in a small town surrounded by other white people, and it took me a long time to encounter any of my minority brothers in this world. But when I did, I benefited from it. Didn't think that immediately. But as I've aged and become more wise, I hope, I've realized that. So I hope to continue walking this road with my colleagues here and see where it leads us. Thank you.
At times I wonder how I got involved with this group. What started off as a lunch conversation with a colleague evolved into something much more, talking about the socialization of men. How do we make men better? And in talking about how do you make men better, first you have to look at yourself and say, how do I make myself better?
What I always like to do, I like to, sometimes we're in a room and we're colleagues and we want to be politically correct. We don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't care about that. Because it's so funny, sometimes you'll hear a person say something. That's why I put my own kind of, thoughts out there, so to speak. But the very women that would say that they don't want a soft man, if that guy cries all the time, they'd be like, he cried too much. And you'd be like, oh, it's okay. And I understand what you're saying. It is a time to be soft, but it's also a time not to be soft. I can remember times where in the middle of the night, a funny noise got up, and my wife looked at me, and I got up, and I remember her coming back and then just grabbing me, tight, like, that kind of feeling. So those are some of the things that reinforce what we do. And if we're really honest, women really rule what the men are going to do. If you say what you want in a man, that's what the man is going to be. Oftentimes when a guy is a good guy, that's when the girl doesn't really want him or kind of does him bad. When he's a bad boy, then that's the challenge sometimes that they often like. Now, when we start to think about in life, we have to ask ourselves, do everything match our words and our actions in harmony and concert? Because oftentimes they're not. And I think because theoretically, we know what should be said, what should be done. But when it comes to a practical side of life, it's something else that goes down, if you want to say, just to a visceral level where you say, this is really, when it comes from an innate kind of an instinctual state, this is what I want. And that doesn't always match what we say or what we know should be said.
And I don't fully agree with everything you say. I don't agree that crying makes me too soft.
No, I didn't say that.
And
I think if you cry too much, though, yes.
And crying too much makes me too soft.
Like if I cried because I was offended what you said, I would think that would be something wrong with that. From an emotional standpoint.
Crying too much equals being too feminine, equals being too negative. So I still think that those who cry, and that doesn't have to be a feminine characteristic or a negative characteristic. I do agree that in terms of attraction, we say, oh, we like men and women like men that are flexible in their role, but they're not attracted to men who don't exhibit that masculinity. And think about it, if you see someone very feminine, unfortunately, that person doesn't tend to hit on that often. That part of too soft is something that we can continue working on, because it's the connection with that, and being a female is something that has been oppressing females, and I think it's important that we continue thinking about that. The other piece is that